Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us for yet another exciting session of CPS Live. We have a nice lineup for you today. If you have any questions for our panelists, you can enter them into the chat or Q&A panels, and we'll read those out for you. Or if you like, use the raise your hand tool, and I will modify your control so you can unmute your line and ask it live. Without further ado, here is our MC, Mr. Tom Berkler.
Thank you, Lisa. And we can continue the discussion we were all having before we got on, and that's that we're all looking forward to the first day of fall. It actually falls on Saturday, the 23rd. And I found in our discussion, man, that we were all kind of under the same misconception that it usually falls on the 21st of the month. But according to Wikipedia, my sole source authority, the last time it fell on the 21st was like 2,000 years ago. So once in a while, things like that occur that make you feel like maybe you've been out of touch your whole lifetime. But we're looking forward to the 23rd, and to celebrate the special day, we have something that we usually don't get, and that's two income replacement protection specialists on today. We've got the whole team here, Tom and Steve, and to continue a conversation, Tom and Steve, you were arguing about who was going to be the straight man in this routine. Did that get resolved before Lisa brought us on the air here?
Well, I think I'll go ahead and lead off, and then I'll pass it off to Steve, and we'll just take up the whole half an hour.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. Oh, well, thanks, Tom. And welcome, everybody. I want to share with you one of the programs that we're seeing a lot of success sliding into the fourth quarter, especially with a lot of open enrollments with group benefits and advisors out there talking to their clients. We've got a unique program that I've found that helps advisors get a foot in the door, if you will. And it's our small group plan that offers long-term disability, short-term disability, group term life, disability or dental program, vision, and all we need are 2 lives. And many of these cases are done on an executive carve out. And the best part about it is that it's guaranteed issue, no medical underwriting whatsoever. It's guaranteed issue, 2 lives. Many of these cases are done where a husband and wife, small business owner, and many times small business owners feel they can't get disability insurance or group term life unless you've got over 10 employees, which is what many of our carriers require is 10 or more employees before they can get group benefits. We had a recent situation where an advisor had brought us an application on a female. She was 54 years old, wanted disability insurance. She was an optometrist, earning $250,000 a year. Once the application got into underwriting, it got declined because it was discovered that she had fibromyalgia. And that is, definite decline for our individual. And I suggested, well, does she have any employees? And he had told me, oh yeah, she's got a office manager. And so we put this small group plan in place for her. And she's able to get $7,500 of guaranteed issue monthly benefit for disability insurance. Her office manager, I think, got about $3,000 monthly benefit. The monthly premium was only $188 for both of them. And so you think that advisor was a hero to that optometrist who normally couldn't get disability insurance? Absolutely. And of course, we've still got short-term disability that can sit right on top of a paid family leave program to help enhance their disability benefit. Because I know a lot of the states are starting to integrate these new paid family leave programs, but this sits right on top of that. So you can still include that along with a dental program, vision program, things like that. Before I hand it off to Steve, I want to also let you know that we've got these handouts. They're customized flyers, if you will. And I'll just give a quick little screen share and show you what it looks like. This is the one for the group. So you can just leave this behind, put your information down here. Talks about its guaranteed issue, easy to enroll, husband and wife, office manager, business owners. Most of these cases are less than 5 employees, but we also have our mug marketing flyer here. This is something that is just cover your mortgage, utilities, and groceries. And we've got a business overhead expense for that, again, that small business owner that wants to protect their expenses if they were to get sick or hurt. So We've got you covered when it comes to small group benefits. I'm gonna go hand it off to my trusted associate, Steve Jones. What do you got, Steve?
Yeah, usually when brokers and advisors think of disability insurance, or as we prefer to call it, income protection coverage, they immediately think of the high wage earners, the doctors, the dentists, attorneys, executives, and those type of occupations. Now these occupations do account for a high percentage of disability income sales. However, this coverage is just not limited, only to them. There are a lot of self-employed or small business owner clients that work in more of the blue and the gray collar occupations that, they work very hard. They're dedicated to their business and make a good living, that also need protection. Unfortunately, if something were to happen to them due to a sickness or an accident, they're not able to work. And some of these occupations off the top of my head are, contractors and carpenters, plumbers, landscapers, those type of, self-employed individuals. They can make a very good living, and they might be doing it by themselves. So they're most likely not going to have any type of protection. And I would even throw into there some more white collar occupations like real estate brokers that are usually paid on a 1099 type basis. Manufacturers reps, sales reps that are also more self-employed, make a good living, but are paid, 1099, and are most likely not going to have any group coverage. And those kind of some additional occupations that you can think of. Now, you might already have some of these clients in these type of occupations. Now ask yourself, have you ever had, that conversation with your client about protecting their income if they're not able to work? And this is not really scientific research, but I think a major reason that some of the higher wage earners, the doctors and the dentists, account for more of the DI sales is because their brokers or advisors kind of pigeonhole them into, hey, this would be a good disability insurance client. Well, it is, but there's also a lot of other occupations out there that these individuals need protection. Now, we work with 13 of the leading carriers. So we have a lot of flexibility and plan designs to not only fit their clients' needs as far as the plan options, but also fit within their budget. We do have carriers that have special plan designs for these type of self-employed individuals that not only increase the rating, which helps the rate, but also can kind of bump up their income, which allows them to obtain, more coverage. Remember that Tom and I are always here to support you. And if you don't really feel comfortable with talking to your clients about protecting their income, or you just don't have the time, just simply make the introduction to Tom and I. We'll take it from there. We'll contact your client, prepare proposals, present the proposals, get the applications, run it all the way through underwriting and policy delivery, and you would still be compensated on the case. So, really appreciate your time, and let me know if you have any questions. Look forward to working with you.
Steve and Tom, I'm always very amazed because we've kicked this product around before. And I'm from the old days, and Rob and I have talked about this with life insurance. Anytime you get talking into group plans or guarantee issue, you're talking about some sizable numbers of participants. And we're talking 2 people here. And Tom, I told you, I said, we need a visual on this. People can't get their head around, give us a picture of a 2-person group. And that's why you and Steve both got on the call today. Isn't that right?
We're a 2-people group. Yep.
That's
ironic. We have a
2
2-person group. We got the information up there. I'm just amazed, especially your office manager illustration there, who was able to pick up coverage with Malaysia. Matt, something that Steve brought up too is something that you and I talk about, and one of the biggest difficulties is raising a level of awareness with agents that when they go in on any sale, both income protection and long-term care are things that, because there's not a familiarity or not a high knowledge base, they don't tend to or hesitate to bring this up. And you and I have talked a lot about the fact that if you don't know much about long-term care, be aware it's there. What's a couple questions they can ask to get the ball rolling when they go into a company for, say, a life or a group health sale?
Yeah, so like just as Steve mentioned, I think one thing to be aware of is that CPS does point of sale assistance, right? So if you have clients that you haven't talked to about long-term care and need someone to have that conversation, we can have that conversation with your clients and facilitate the entire conversation, entire application from start to finish. But if you do want to tackle it yourself, now is a good time to try to tackle it, because there is a lot of talk about state-funded long-term care plans right now, especially in California with AB 587. And what is basically happening is if someone doesn't have a long-term care plan, and if someone doesn't have assets or money, who pays for their care later in life? The states have to pick up the cost, right? And so states across America are kind of freaking out right now because the amount of money that they're spending on care has been growing exponentially since the early 90s. And they need to find ways in which they can help raise additional revenue to pay for this cost of care that they're paying for. So Washington State was the first state that implemented a state-funded LTC plan. California looks like it's going to be the second, well, probably the second, maybe third or fourth, to implement something. There's support on both sides of the aisle for something like this, because they know that they need the revenue, right? And so what they're currently considering in California, they've got a couple of different plans, but they're looking at raising an extra 0.5 to 1% tax with no cap on all wages coming in, right? There may be a component of that that's covered by businesses. We're not quite sure yet. But either way, it's a new tax. And in return, what would you receive? You'd receive anywhere from $40,000 to $150,000 of money that you could spend on long-term care. Generally speaking, most individuals, they're going to be better situated with a private long-term care plan if they're looking to get proper insurance. So now is a good time to bring up the conversation with your clients, especially business owners, because there's tax advantages on both sides for business owners. And it really makes sense because they can deduct the cost of a private plan and they can avoid the tax on a new plan coming down the road from the state of California.
One of the things, Matt, that we've talked about is the private coverage, not only with regard to the quality and the extent of the care, but it's where you get the care. Lisa and I were talking about a couple friends who had same-day surgery. People not only want care, they like to determine where they're going to get it. And facility-oriented care is becoming less and less popular. And you've always impressed on me that one of the big advantages of having your private long-term care plan is, to a large extent, you get to dictate where you get that care, i.e. at home. Am I overstating the case there?
No, really, care plan allows you to receive care where you want to receive care. And the overwhelming majority of people do not want to be in a facility. They want to be at home, right? They want to be comfortable in their home, surrounded by their loved ones. But they want the care being provided not by their loved ones, but by someone that they've hired. So having a long-term care plan allows you to do that.
Yeah. I'm so taken with doing things at home. I haven't left this room for 3 days. I've been doing nothing but preparing for this broadcast. So
love it.
If you put it under the state, they're going to tell me I have to leave the room periodically, and I don't want that. So Matt, I think we put your contact info up there. Let me say this before we get over to Rob Reedy. We have Dan Grissett on our Medicare special. Dan's under the weather, but he is such a company man. He came on to at least here. So Lisa, if you'd get Dan's info up before we leave today as well. And Dan is who you can contact for any concerns any of your clients have about their Medicare coverage. Rob, you and I were on the phone right before the call, so we didn't have time to get together what we were really going to talk about. So if you wax philosophical on things that have nothing to do with life insurance, I'm with you, buddy. I've got your back. What you got cooking, Rob?
Yeah, I figured I'd give a State of the Union or an update on a few areas, just 3 areas where we're seeing a lot of activity in sales. The first one is kind of a nice segue from what Matt was talking about a second ago, and it's life with long-term care riders. That is literally something that agents are asking us about every day. It is an easy way to add long-term care protection to a client's portfolio if they need life insurance, and typically it adds about 10% to a permanent life policy premium. So if you've got a $5,000 premium, as an example, that's a $500 a year. And now you've got access to a significant pool of long-term care protection. And if you never use it, it'll pay out in the death benefit. So that is something we are talking about all the time. I actually just got back from Boston. I was out visiting John Hancock and talking about their Vitality program. And they just reiterated I think is one of the most important things that I've heard in years. Is they've partnered with a company called Grail that offers a Gallery test that is testing for 50 cancers that previously there was no screening for. This is a simple blood test. It costs about $1,000, and they will literally pay for that for policyholders over the age of 50 if they have a policy that's over 500,000. If it's below 500, they'll pay for half the cost. And what they shared is it's actually already saved lives. So one of their agents went out and did the test. They had a policy, came back with early stage cancer, so much so that the primary care physician saw the results and said, don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about this. Is new. It's not very accurate. Took it to a second doctor and said, hey, let's take a look at this and start treating it. Found it. And he's, well on the way to beating that cancer. So Vitality and Grail is doing something that no other carrier is doing. And then lastly, Tom, you and I talk about this all the time. We're seeing a lot of questions and interest in the estate tax planning arena. As we know, the end of 2025, the exemptions are going to get cut roughly in half. So we're going to see a lot more clients subject to a significant estate tax. And I think now is the time to start planning and talking about it.
A couple questions, Rob. And first, one is a reminder. We always say, generally, if you've got a single person with a net worth higher than 7 million, they need to be worried about that exemption reduction. Double that. Married couple with about 14. So those are your targets there. If you run into that, because net worth is basically taxable estate. So 14 for married, 7 for single. The Grail, the Vitality and the Grail. Did they indicate there about what that service would cost you if you were to go and pay for it yourself?
Yeah, you can actually go and on their website and order the test. It's $1,000 test. And again, they'll pay for the entire test if you have a policy with them above 500,000 of face amount. If it's below that, they'll pay for half the cost.
Wow, that's huge. And what were the figures again? They'll pay for all of it if what?
Face amounts above 500,000, they'll pay the entire $1,000 cost, and you can just order it right through your John Hancock portal. If you're below 500,000 of coverage, like my policy is 300,000, they'll pay for half of it. So I'm going to take the test, and hopefully it's negative. But if it's positive, I'm going to catch it early and beat it.
Yeah. That 500,000 is nothing. That's nothing. I know that you told me you asked them if they went to any other providers. They said no, Holy Grail. So,
exactly.
Gentlemen, any closing remarks here before we get back to work? I enjoyed it. Lisa, take us out of here.
All right, thanks so much, folks. The contact information for these guys is in the chat, as well as a link for a webinar on state mandated LTC, kind of piggybacking on what Rob was talking about there, which is scheduled for next Thursday at 11 a.m. We'd love to have you join us there as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.